And so the Shanghai Gold Exchange and the Shanghai Futures Exchange sees the physical price of silver go higher, and at as much as $3 and $4 higher than the West. And because of this arbitrage that's sucking all the metal over there, right? And these traders don't have loyalty to this country in terms of the long-term ramifications. They're making a ton of money. So as this demand keeps flowing there and the price goes higher, you got the brain dead bullion banks and the Comex and the LBMA that continue to slam down the price harder. And the spread between silver in the West and silver in China is at least 10 to 15% as a result of all of this, or higher. And so these Western vaults are being drained as the traders are monetizing the arbitrage.
In today's episode, Andy Schectman, CEO of Miles Franklin Precious Metals, paints a somewhat troubling picture of the silver market. According to Schectman, repeated deliveries are putting a strain on silver reserves held by exchanges, hinting that we might be very close to a tipping point. The continued stress on these reserves, Schectman notes, suggests that the control mechanisms traditionally relied upon are faltering. Schectman shifts focus to a broader perspective on financial safety and the role of misinformation in current market dynamics. He expresses concern over fintech companies and their stability, emphasizing the need for investors to be well informed about whom they're dealing with. Andy also highlights the economic shifts influenced by Brics nations and their impact on Western silver reserves. The drain from Western vaults to accommodate rising Eastern demands hints at a significant shift in economic power and market dynamics. Now, we'll show you the best clips of the latest interview, but first, smash the subscribe button, turn on notifications, and hit the like button. Enjoy the episode.
And in the last few weeks, I've talked with you 2 weeks ago about how you're seeing these exchange for physical deliveries that are these large deliveries of kilo gold bars in particular that are being purchased in the West, delivered to Brics, Hong Kong, which is a Comex facility, and then being trucked over to the Shanghai Gold Exchange. We've talked a lot about how the vaults are being drained and the bankers showing up at the Shanghai Metals Exchange. And now those vaults are being drained, in particular in silver, because you can't export gold. And these things are undeniable. But I just want people to understand kind of simplistically what's happening. So the Chinese vaults are being drained due to the large demand exceeding supply in West. And I think these bullion banks are trapped. I know Alistair McLeod kind of alluded to that in your interview with him that I watched last night, that these banks are trapped. And so the Shanghai Gold Exchange and the Shanghai Futures Exchange sees the physical price of silver go higher, and at as much as $3 and $4 higher than the West. And because of this arbitrage that's sucking all the metal over there, right? And these traders don't have loyalty to this country in terms of the long-term ramifications. They're making a ton of money. So as this demand keeps flowing there and the price goes higher, you got the brain dead bullion banks and the Comex and the LBMA that continue to slam down the price harder. And the spread between silver in the West and silver in China is at least 10 to 15% as a result of all of this, or higher. And so these Western vaults are being drained as the traders are monetizing the arbitrage. And so when you see silver in the vaults drop to their lowest since 2020 in Shanghai, that is a very ominous sign, because once those vaults are drained, we already know there's only roughly 300 million ounces of silver on the LBMA, if we believe what they're saying. So when we talk about the Shanghai vaults and their inventory in silver dropping to the lowest level since 2020, and a 10 to 15% arbitrage, if you will, for all the importers, you could very much argue that we are seeing, in the spirit of that, what's his name, Mad Kitty or whatever it is on what's his name? The guy that tried to tried to squeeze AMC and GameStop. Great movie, by the way, Dumb Money. What's his name? The Mad Kitty or whatever it is. You know, the whole idea of squeezing the silver market, and as Jeffrey, what's Jeffrey's last name? The trader from Goldman Sachs, not Jeffrey Christian, Jeffrey Curry said, he said that the public can't squeeze the silver market because the public buys the ETFs and the ETFs are the shorts. Talk about a faux pas, because when an ETF shorts metal, that's illegal. ETF is not supposed to hedge anything. They are a custodian for people making speculations in the metals market. There would be no need to hedge. Talk about a faux pas. But in any case, when we see the vaults in Shanghai draining to their lowest level and really falling almost to the day that these bullion bankers showed up at the Shanghai Metals Exchange in March, and straight down since then because of the 300 million ounces, if we believe those numbers, at the LBMA, and roughly 60 million ounces in registered at the Comex, with these deliveries continuing to happen over and over and over again. They're very close to running out of silver. I think they've lost control. They went to China and asked. And look, the normal settlement at the Comex and the LBMA, which is they're called spot contracts, which are basically promises to deliver, are being replaced now with the scramble for physical delivery. And this is a bad thing. This is a very scary thing if you are a bullion bank who is short. And these bullion banks have rehypothecated silver, I don't know, 100 times or more on the LBMA. They were supposed to believe it's only 16 or 17 times on Comex. I have a hard time believing that, but whatever. Rehypothecated is rehypothecated, is sold over and over and over and over again, where they didn't think that people would stand for delivery. And when these exchanges were founded, they didn't. But India, the Reserve Bank of India, just purchased 24 tons of gold in the first 4 months of 2024. That's 1.5 times what they bought all of 2023. And they bought more silver in the first quarter of 2024 than all of 2023, which was a record year of, over 400 million ounces. So do the math. I mean, we're running out. And the Brics, they are draining the Western vaults in the United States and in London. And I think that the West has lost control of the markets. I mean, it was down again today. All the technical guys are saying it was going to fall. And then what is it up now? Gold's up 1550. They can't hold it down any longer. And I think the banks are trapped. And I think these banks have a big problem. I do. And, it's one of these deals where it's just like Bernie Madoff. He had a good thing going until people said they needed their money back and tried to redeem their money. To actually think there could be a force majeure or a short squeeze was something I had a real hard time coming to grips with until recently. And it just seems as though the Brics, the Chinese, Russians, Saudis, these countries realize that that's how you win the war. It's not by firing missiles, but it's by beating us at a game just like this. And when you realize the biggest banks in the world, especially in the West, are the ones behind the suppression of silver and gold, these countries before didn't have the ability, the sophistication, the wealth, or even the interest of doing this until now. And they do. And this is something that people need to, I think, keep a very close eye on for sure. Because I have a feeling that it's only going to accelerate as we get closer to the election.
India imports more silver in 4 months than in all of 2023. India's silver imports in the first 4 months of the year have already surpassed the total for all of 2023 on rising demand from the solar panel industry and as investors bet on an outperformance versus gold, government and industry officials told Reuters. Increased imports by the world's biggest silver consumer could support global prices, which are trading near their highest level in more than a decade. India imported a record metric tons of silver during January to April, up from 455 tons in the same period a year ago, said a government official who declined to be named as he was not authorized to talk to the media. India imported a total of tons of silver last year. Almost half of this year's imports have come from the United Arab Emirates to take advantage of lower import duty, said an importer based at Ahmedabad in Gujarat. India generally imposes a 15% import duty on silver. However, the Comprehensive Economic Partnership Agreement signed between India and the UAE in 2022 allows private traders to import silver through the India International Bullion Exchange, paying 9% duty and an extra 3% in value added tax. Now we'll show you more excerpts of the interview. Remember to watch the video to the end so you don't miss out any insights. Let's get back into the episode.
You and I started talking about that publicly. Obviously, I get a lot of calls, people concerned, thinking, did I partner up with the wrong company? And there's about a half a dozen companies that I would say are borderline criminal. And I never have mentioned their names out of respect because it's not my place to do that. But I will tell you, there are two common threads in every single statement that I have looked at from all these different companies. Two things. One, gold coins. Don't know why they choose quarter ounce gold coins, but every single one of them do. Quarter ounce gold coins, most of which I've never heard of. Now, I've heard of the mint that makes them, but these goofy quarter ounce coins that supposedly have this great upside market potential, it's just a bunch of malarkey. And the other thing is either 1 ounce, 1.5 ounce, or 2 ounce silver coins that trade at roughly double to triple the market price of silver. Those are the two common threads that I see in every single case. And some of them, honestly, are enough to make you physically ill. I mean, you start to just get sick in your stomach when you hear people, I've been a postman my whole life, and I put my whole savings into this, and, I'm 80 years old. What am I going to do? And, it's really awful. And that's right. You should sound the alarm. We should talk about this more often because it's once we start talking about it, I was blown away by how many people have got wrapped up in this. And the common denominator, aside from what the product is that these companies are very well funded and have the ability to have very impressive ad campaigns and very impressive spokespeople whom I wonder if they have any idea. I would bet most of them have no idea the way these people do business, because these spokesmen, they're not buying like a customer would. They're getting paid a handsome salary and think they're doing the right thing, but they're not. The Better Business Bureau, the Attorney General, and be very stern about it. You have a fighting chance. And it's really gross that when you see gold approaching its all-time highs, backed off a little bit from its all-time highs, and these people are still down, $300-400 per ounce, or $100 each on a quarter ounce coin. It's just absolutely pathetic. It's wrong. And I don't know how these people sleep at night, because they all prey on IRAs. So you're dealing with older folks who have spent their life building their IRA, and it's not like they can go back to work at 75 years old. It's truly criminal, in my opinion. But that's the pitfalls of a federally non-regulated industry. This is one of the things that we hang our hats on. This is why I left my corporation in Minneapolis when I moved to Florida, because of it. It's the only state that has any semblance of regulation in a completely Wild West, non-regulated industry. Don't mean to belabor the point, but it's important to talk about it periodically. There are too many people that have been harmed by this.
What do you think of today's show? Is Schectman spot on in his theory that silver will massively boom in 2024 and 2025, or is he wrong and you'll lose your shirt if you buy at these prices? Post in the comment section your honest opinion and watch this video right here, because it's a perfect fit for you. I see you on the other side.